Hello there. It has certainly been a while. If you are watching the video version of this, you will see the two dogs being as close to me as possible. I have just picked Jeffrey up from his big boy surgery and he's very clingy. So if you can hear them very close, you will see them on the video very close. You are not supposed to jump off things. I take the cone off and he fully takes advantage of me. Anyway, hello. It has been a while and it has been never since you have seen a video version of the podcast. So I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you in advance for watching. I am really excited about bringing this podcast not only back to life, but bringing it in video form as well. And I think, I'll get into this a little bit later in the episode, but I've really been holding myself back in regards to doing this. And I'm just ready to fucking send it. So here I am. I'm so excited to be here and I'm so excited that you are here with me. I do plan on doing a little bit more of a life update kind of episode next week for the next episode, just to kind of keep you in the loop around what's been going on. If you're on Instagram, you'll know a lot has changed since the last podcast episode. But if you are just a podcast listener, you will have absolutely no idea what and how much has changed in my life since the last podcast episode, because a lot has happened. So I will be back next week to do a little bit of a life update and to talk to you about all of the kind of changes that I've made in my life. But for this episode, I really wanted to be in this new year energy. I wanted to be in this intention setting energy. I wanted to talk about what I have decided my ins and outs are for 2024. And that includes a little bit of reflection of 2023, as well as what I see for 2024, what I have decided is going to happen, what I've decided is going to be possible, because you get to decide that for yourself. And what I've decided I'm really going to be anchoring into for 2024. So that's what this episode is going to be about. Let's get into it. Hi there. You are about to see and hear footage of me telling you that there was a little bit of a technical difficulty. Now, what I didn't realize was that technical difficulty extended as far as deleting the whole clip. So we are missing about 5 minutes of the recording. That is okay. I am not going to stress. I am not going to throw my hands up in the air and admit defeat. I am just going to try and edit the next part as seamlessly as possible so that it feels like we're not missing anything at all. However, in full transparency, we're missing a couple of things. So that is okay. We've still got an hour left of content after that. It is still a beautiful hour of content. And we are just going to soldier on, because I had so much fear about doing podcast and video at the same time. And for it to go wrong is just me collecting evidence, and I am not going to let that stop me. So we are just going to put this aside. We are going to continue on with the rest of the episode, and we're going to try again next time. Okay, little bit of a technical difficulty. We are still getting used to this whole setup. I think the camera died. I don't know. I still don't know how to use it. So I don't remember where I was up to, but I know that I was up to the point around connection. Connection and prioritizing connection and really just choosing to allow people into my life and choosing to allow people into being there for me and supporting me and opening up to everyone. And I have never really been the one to call first. I don't call. I barely text first. I've never really been that kind of person, and I've really reflected on that lately, and I think that comes a lot from avoidance. It comes from protecting myself. I think that I have a history of people walking away. Really, really important people walking away. And so I have put up this wall where if I only give so much to a relationship, I can't get hurt, right? And I can always use the excuse of, not putting everything there. And it not being a really close, deep friendship. I can protect myself from that for when they inevitably walk away, right? That's how my brain has worked. And that's something that I've realized lately, where I have been telling myself that inevitably every relationship that I have ends. And so I have protected myself by not actually allowing myself to truly connect with people, not allowing myself to be affectionate with people, not allowing myself to really share and open up with people because of this understanding or this idea that I have that eventually they're going to leave and it's going to fucking hurt. So I'm really working on rewiring that belief that people leave or they see me as a burden or they don't want to have a relationship with me. And instead, I am allowing myself to prioritize connection with people. It's so fucking crazy that, you know, I'm so aware of these thoughts now, which is really good. I'm aware of them and I push through them. And I was sitting in the car with my two closest friends here who live here. And I said to them, hey, like, what do you... it took me ages to work up to asking them. I was like, hey, what do you guys do on a Tuesday night? Like, let's have a Tuesday night dinner, you know? I'm usually free and let's have a Tuesday night dinner. My first thought was, oh my God, they're going to really get to know me and I'm going to lose these friends. Because for the last 20 years, there's been distance between us. You know, they're from my hometown. I see them on social media and we catch up every time I'm home and all of the things. And they've always been, you know, my lifelong friends. But my first thought was, oh my God, they're going to, you know, get to really get to know me and I'm going to lose them. And I sat in the back of the car and I was like, wow, like I feel so sad for myself thinking that. I feel so sad for myself. And I have had those thoughts about my family members. I have had those thoughts about everyone that comes into my life. And that's a really hard way to think. It's a really difficult way to live because much like I did last year, it's isolating. I isolate myself to protect myself. And that's not a way to be. Again, we are meant to be in tribes. We are meant to be surrounded by people. We are meant to be loved and valued, and we are meant to be vulnerable. And I wasn't allowing myself to do that. I was really isolating myself to protect myself. And I wasn't aware that I was doing it at the time, but now I'm very aware. So connection is in for 2024. The next in for 2024 is purpose. And this is something that came really naturally in my ins list because of the conversations that I've been having with a lot of my private clients this week, as in the first week of January. Really anchoring into purpose, really understanding that and trusting that things are always going to work out and money is always going to flow as long as I am following my purpose, as long as I am living every day aligned to what I want to create on this earth. In 2024, I am no longer chasing the dollar figure because that's where I got lost. When I chased the dollar figure, I missed out on my purpose. I got lost in what I actually wanted to create and what I wanted to see in the world. And that was one of the biggest reasons as to why I really burnt my business to the ground and rejigged it, because I lost a sense of purpose in all aspects of my life. So when it got down to those really low periods, I think that with that loss of purpose and that loss of sense of purpose, the focus that I had was scrambling to keep the business alive. And the focus was money. The focus was business. The focus was the way that other people perceived me. It was making sure that people still thought I had a successful business. It was making sure that people thought I was happy. It was making sure that people thought I was okay, right? It was about keeping up this idea of what I wanted instead of actually just revisiting what my purpose was and refinding what my purpose was. And I think that I have now come back to that. I have now come back to what I want to create and the change that I want to make to the world and the change that I want to make to the people's lives around me. And my business is fucking thriving again. as a result of that. I took all of the focus away from success, in air quotations, from money, from having this big business really quickly. And instead, I needed to find my own purpose again. And I did. And I have fucking soared in response to that. I have completely turned my business around. I have completely turned my life around because I came back to my purpose. So purpose, always being front and center, and trusting that when purpose is front and center, so too will be success. The next in is execution. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change this one. I wrote execution before I actually had a call today. I had a call with a membership that I am a part of called the Creators Lab. And I actually really discovered on that call that I am always one to execute. I am actually never one to sit with my ideas. So I'm going to change this. It's no longer execution. It is sitting with my ideas. It is sitting with my creativity before I execute. But it is still execution in the way that I no longer am going to convince myself that no one wants to hear that. No one wants to care about that. No one cares about that. No one's going to buy that. That's not going to be in my vocabulary anymore. That's not going to be something that I'm going to be telling myself anymore. I am going to have my idea and I am going to execute my idea because I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to trust that idea. And so that's where that execution came from. So I'm going to combine that with, yes, execution and backing myself. Backing myself is what I'm going to do. I'm going to back my ideas. I'm going to put intention into my ideas, and I'm going to execute my ideas. The next in I have is very much inspired and influenced by my good friend and someone I see as a mentor, Sarah Ruby. My next one is speaking my opinion and being solid in it. I think the last kind of, few months in business, because of the pivot that I have had in what I want to speak to and who I want to speak to, I think I have still kind of been trying to get to know what my opinion actually is. And therefore, it's been really hard to be solid in that opinion because I'm still kind of understanding what that looks like. But now I know what it looks like. And so moving forward, it is about speaking my opinion. It is about being really solid in my opinion and not just being someone who gives facts, right? Not being someone who gives education and teachings. I'm going to give my fucking opinion. And that's to my private clients. That's to my group coaching. That is on my Instagram. That is on my TikTok. I definitely have shied away from, not so much in private containers. I think I definitely feel a lot safer to share my opinion in private containers and people that already are in my world. I think it's more about on social media where I'm more like, okay, I will share this fact about science because no one can say that I'm wrong and no one can say that they disagree because the facts are there. But now it's time to start speaking my opinion. Now it's time to start sharing what I think and how I feel about particular things because that's what's going to elevate me. That is what's going to take me and what I teach to the next level. The next in, ice baths. I did do a few ice baths in 2023, sporadically though. I have normalized a cold shower. That's something that's just a normal part of my routine now. And ice baths have always kind of been an effort, right? Don't have an ice bath. I don't have a bath. I did have a bath. I don't have a bath. So it was always about going somewhere and doing an ice bath or like setting something up and doing the ice bath. And there was always that effort there that I never really went to. But now cold showers are something that I've completely normalized, that they're no longer a challenge for me. Therefore, I asked Santa for an ice bath for Christmas last year. Santa delivered. Thank you, Mum. Now I have an ice bath. So I am going to be replacing my morning shower with an ice bath. It is a lot more effort. It's going to take a lot more mental energy. Therefore, it's time to move to ice baths because cold showers are normalized now and I need that challenge. The next thing is sharing the little things, even if I convince myself that no one wants to know or hear about it. And that goes for a lot of different aspects of my life. I think that it comes down to conversations with people, sharing how I feel or being excited over little things, sharing little wins or something that I find funny or, little things I find that I've always kind of told myself, oh, no one cares about this. You know what I mean? Like no one cares how I feel about this. I think that I have been given a lot of evidence that people do care in my personal life and on social media. And so, when it comes to 2024, I really want to come back into this personal brand. I really want to come back into showing people who I am and what I do and what I love and my life, because that's always been something that's really successful for me. That's always been something that has really allowed me to connect with my audience and connect with everyone that's in my community. And I feel like the last 6 months, I haven't really been solid in who I am and what I love and what I want to do. And I have had a lot going on in my life. And so I really backed out of that personal brand and sharing things about me personally. And at every end of the scale, whether it is sharing little things that I enjoy or things I find funny or all of the things, or if it's sharing wins or things about my business, I really pulled back from sharing aspects of myself and my life. And it's time for me to anchor back into that. It's time to share who I am, because I have been given so much evidence that when I share who I am and what I enjoy and what I do, people really connect with that. And so, it's now coming back to no longer convincing myself that people don't care or don't want to know and sharing the little things. The next in for 2024 is loving and appreciating my body. I moved back to New South Wales, moved back to my hometown. And when I did that, I had a significant change. Not significant, that's a lie. I had a change in my body. I put on more weight. I stopped fitting into the clothes that I had. And I started to get really, really down on myself because of that. And I stopped looking at myself in the mirror. I avoided looking at myself naked. I would be really, really miserable shopping and not buying the size that I am used to buying. And that's never been me. I have always been really content with my body. And I think it was just, I came to the conclusion that I have had a very, very heightened few months. And so, these feelings were just me looking for more evidence as to, things that I was already believing about myself. What I have realized and what I am really working on with myself at the moment is my body has changed because it is regulated. My body has changed because I have an appetite again, because I am enjoying meals with my family. I am in a routine where I have times to eat, which I didn't have. I'm actually moving my body, and that is leading to me putting on muscle. And I'm exercising more, and I'm doing all of the things. And so the way that my body has changed is because of how regulated I am. It's because of all of these good things that are happening to me. Whereas the body that I was attached to and the body that I had previously was a dysregulated, highly strung, stressed, anxious body that didn't eat properly, that had significant skin issues, that had significant gut health issues. I'm finding foods now that I can enjoy because I know what my body likes and doesn't like. I'm enjoying eating food again. And, looking back, I think, I don't want to say I'm making it sound a lot worse than it was because I don't want to gaslight myself. But I was surviving. For a long time, I was just surviving. And now I'm thriving. And that's something that I am accepting makes me look different and makes me feel different. It makes me feel so much better. I think from, a bird's eye view, I look at all of these things like not fitting into my clothes or, being a different number on the scales. I look at those things as like, oh my God, my body has changed and it's going in a direction that society says is wrong. However, all of the things, when I look at them individually, the reason as to why all of those things are happening, I've fucking never been happier. And I've never felt more regulated. And I've never been in such a healthier routine. And so it's about taking away the stigma of what my brain instantly goes to when I see those things change in my body. And now stepping back and going, actually, this is why it's happening. And look how fucking cool that is. So coming back into loving my body and appreciating my body and really just seeing those differences and those changes as a result of all of the wonderful things that are happening in my body is going to be really cool. The next in is iced long blacks. This has a bit of another story to it, but iced long blacks is the next in. It is my new in. I love an iced long black. I originally started drinking them because I started fasting, intermittent fasting. And so when you have an iced long black, it doesn't break your fast, and I couldn't not have my morning coffee. So I started kind of forcing them down, and now I fucking love them. They are so good. They don't make you feel heavy like a milky coffee does. I'm not quite on the normal long blacks yet. It's actually, it's hot here, so I haven't really had the opportunity. But iced long blacks, done, 2024. My next in for 2024 is intentionality. I actually wrote taking extra time, but I think intentionality just sounds a little bit better. What I mean by that is in all areas of my life, I no longer want to rush around. I no longer want to just get things done. I no longer want to tick things off and that be the goal. What I want to do is take that extra time being intentional with every single fucking thing that I do. Every single thing, big or small, right? The other day it came down to I was, making my breakfasts, I slow cook kangaroo for the week of breakfast. And it was like taking that little bit of extra time to cut up the steak in a certain way and like add a few extra herbs and be really intentional knowing that for the rest of the week, that is going to be that little bit extra bit delicious. It's taking the extra time to sit here and record a podcast episode that I would just sit down and put a microphone on and just like record, but it's taking that little bit of extra time to have a nice background, put the camera on, get everything set up, making sure everything's okay. I found myself doing this quite naturally and really seeing a benefit to it. And it comes from a place of regulation, right? Rushing around and ticking things off the list and getting things done and just like doing things for the sake of doing things comes from a place of dysregulation. It's from hyper awareness of what you're doing at all times. And so when I became a more regulated human, I found myself really just allowing myself to take that extra time in being really intentional in the things that I want to do. And it's just that little bit of extra time and that little bit of intentionality, and that thing is going to be escalated. That thing is going to be 10 times better in quality. You take that little bit of extra time, take the extra time to put another step in your skincare routine, take the extra time to add a scrub into your hair wash, do things with intention, not just to tick them off the list. You will see such incredible fucking results when you add intention to those little things that you decide to do. Every single thing that you add that intentionality to is just going to have such a higher quality, and therefore your life is going to have a higher quality. The next in for 2024, low sleep variability. I think I'm phrasing that right. What I mean by that is going to bed and waking up within half an hour of the same time every single day, regardless of the circumstances. It's having a bedtime and having a wake up time. In general, prioritizing sleep. If there is anything that I have done for my body, I always say this to clients. There are 2 things that I recommend people focus on when you're trying to optimize your life: sleep and breath. Sleep is the most important thing that you can do for your body, for its recovery, for its restoration, for optimizing your brain, for your cognitive function, everything. Sleep is fucking important. And when you have low sleep variability, when you focus on going to bed and waking up within half an hour of the same time every single day, you are teaching your body its biological rhythm. You are syncing your body into a circadian rhythm, and that is going to make your sleep deeper. It is going to make you more alert when you're awake. It is going to allow your body to be in this cycle, which is going to allow your body to hit those stages of sleep where its restoration is occurring. It's going to allow your body to be able to complete those sleep cycles and hit all of those areas and aspects of sleep that you need to have a beautifully functioning nervous system and a beautifully functioning body. All because you are telling your body that this is the time that you go to sleep and this is the time that you wake up. Do it for a month and I promise you, you will see such significant differences in your sleep and such improvements in your sleep, you won't fucking know what to do with yourself. It's the best. I thought I had another in, but I don't. So let's move into the outs of 2024. Okay, what is out in 2024? The first thing that is out is dysregulation, specifically seeking dysregulation. This is a really, really important one for me because the biggest realization I have had over the last 6 months is how fucking dysregulated my body is used to being. And therefore, how often I am actually seeking dysregulation because that is what is comfortable and familiar to my body. Regulation is, it is now, but it wasn't safe to feel. My body was so used to being dysregulated that I actually would unknowingly and unconsciously seek situations that would dysregulate me. My body was in such a long-term heightened state because of everything that I've experienced, because of everything that I'm used to. And since healing and working on regulating my nervous system, I have realized that. And so I am really, really aware of when I'm feeling dysregulated now. And I'm really, really aware of when I'm actually choosing a situation that I know would dysregulate me. So for example, particular relationships in my life, I would always seek and go back to because they were so dysregulating for me. I would have conversations, I would push narratives, I would, do things that would bring on a sense of dysregulation in my body. And even though I hated it, for example, I would seek an argument, right? Or I would do something that I know would make me feel dysregulated and would send me into a spiral. And I would do that so often that my body just got used to that feeling, and then I would continue to seek those feelings. So now it's about actually being aware of when my body starts to feel dysregulated and being able to regulate myself in the moment, and being really aware of the things that I used to do or used to seek or used to entertain because I was addicted to the dysregulation. For example, relationships in my life. Right? There are 2 very specific relationships in my life that I have let go of in the last few months. Massive relationships in my life that I have moved on from in the last few months because those 2 people were constantly dysregulating for me. And now, on the rare occasion where I have some kind of run-in or situation where I'm facing that person, my body feels so out of sorts that it's kind of like, wow, I felt this constantly and now that feels foreign to me. So that's really cool. that I can now notice that. But yes, the first out, the biggest out is dysregulation. And that's not to say I'm never going to be dysregulated. It's to say that I am not going to be doing the things that I know are dysregulating for me. I am no longer going to seek dysregulation. I am no longer going to normalize a dysregulated nervous system. The next out is, obviously, if consistency is in, inconsistency is out. So with a focus on my own consistency, with a focus on the theme of consistency for 2024, I am seeing anything that is inconsistent as out. Douglas has decided to play with the loudest fucking toy in the house. Come on. So that goes for relationships. It goes for, relationships that I'm entertaining. If there is an inconsistency, if there are inconsistencies in this relationship, that is out. It goes for anything that is inconsistent for me. Anything that I see is either disrupting my consistency or is providing me with inconsistency is out. The next out is shying away from speaking my truth. Very similarly linked to now in being speaking my opinion, I am no longer going to shy away from speaking my truth about how I feel about particular things, about calling people to standards, about my opinion on certain things. The previous version of me that shied away from speaking my truth was the version of me that protected me from being kicked out of the tribe. It was the version of me that was so scared of what people thought of me, that was so scared that people were going to leave me because I had a differing opinion, or I was going to speak out in something that was different for them or against what they were saying. And that is no longer me. What is me now is I am going to say how I feel. I'm going to say what I think. I'm going to speak my truth 100% of the time, and I'm going to be unapologetic about it. The next out is a really big one for me. The next out is insecurity. I have held myself back so much from doing so many things because of insecurities that I have about myself. For example, I am so good at creating content. I am so good at video content. I am so good at creating something engaging. And I have shied away from doing that because I was so insecure about my skin. I have had a really difficult relationship with my skin for so long. I wanted to buy this camera that you are watching this video. If you are watching the video version, I have wanted to buy this camera to do this for such a long time. Such a long time. I would avoid making video content if I didn't have makeup on. If you could see my skin, if there was no beauty filter, I would literally go to the ends of the earth to create a video where my skin wasn't out in the open. I would stop myself from just jumping on camera and saying something that I wanted to say. I had to be prepared. I had to look good. I had to have makeup on. That was so much effort that I just didn't do it. I would, feel like I'd have to put on a full face of makeup before sitting down to record a podcast if I wanted video content from it. And then that was just such an effort. And I put so much friction in between me and the content that it just didn't get done. And I felt so insecure watching it back that it never got posted. And I'm so done with that. I'm so done with insecurities holding me back. I'm so done with insecurities, full stop. And there is absolutely something to say where I do feel like my skin has improved and I do feel a lot more comfortable in the way that I've looked because I have regulated my body. My skin is a million times better than it has ever been because I am so regulated. And that has definitely helped. But I still catch myself in moments, watching video content back and getting so insecure about it and I don't post it. And I'm done with that. That's out. That's not happening for 2024 anymore because I have so much to say and I have so much that I want to share. And It is a fucking disservice to all of you if I let my insecurities stop me from doing that. The next out of 2024 is distractions, and that goes for so many ends of the scale. I really want to make a conscious effort to remove all distractions at all times. And this goes for things like putting my phone out of my room while I am studying. It also goes for removing a person from my life that is distracting me from my alignment. It goes for deciding to not do something in my business because it's actually going to be distracting me from a bigger purpose. It is actually really intentionally looking at everything that I'm doing in my life and understanding whether I'm doing it for a higher purpose and for a higher mission, or if it is a distraction. Distraction is an ego protection mechanism. Distraction is a way that your ego is protecting you from achieving the thing that you're supposed to achieve. And so for me, distraction has been something that I have seen coming up so often in the way that my ego is trying to protect me. And it starts at a small scale. It starts with taking away those little distractions here and there, my phone, music, whatever it is that's distracting me, taking myself out of the house to work instead of being at home with the dogs. It's removing distractions intentionally to then flex that muscle of seeing where distractions are actually occurring and removing distractions from my life at whatever capacity they come to me at. The next out for 2024 is binge drinking. Jeffrey is right on the microphone right now, so if you can hear sniffling. I know, you don't feel very well, do you? You just had your balls cut off. It's not gonna feel nice. I am just getting too old for binge drinking. My body just cannot handle it anymore. And that is me knowing how my hangovers feel, but also wearing a Whoop and my Whoop actually telling me and showing me the way that my body functions and the way that my body processes alcohol. And to actually see what's going on in my body when I drink alcohol and the days after I drink alcohol in my recovery levels and my heart rate variability and actual statistics that are happening in my body after I drink alcohol, I'm done. Like, once you see that, it's like, why would you intentionally do that to your body? And I never ever thought I would be the person. And that's not to say I'm not going to have, you know, a night or two here and there. I'm just okay with not drinking. I'm okay with not binge drinking, and I don't have to do it, and I can still have fun. So binge drinking is out. My next out. This is gonna expose your mama. My next out is checking my story views. Boy, oh boy, have I wasted so much time checking to see who has watched my stories. And that goes intentionally looking for a name and just checking in general. Most of the time it's intentionally looking for a name to see if they've watched my story. But also in general, there are a few people that I know, a few repeat offenders, let's say, that are in my story views and don't follow me. And it takes up a lot of my energy wondering what they're thinking and why they're here and what they're looking for, and prevent them from following me and all of the things. All of the questions come up in my mind. And I'm done caring. I'm done caring why they do that. I'm done caring about who watches my things. I am, done caring about whether a particular person has watched it or not. So that's out. Checking my story views and wasting my fucking time looking who is in my story views is out. The next out. Touching my phone whilst driving. Now, I'm pretty good at this. Like, I will never sit on my phone while I'm actually driving. It is more like when I have stopped at the lights, I will check it, or like it's in my little holder. So if I get a notification, I will look at it. And I'm done doing that because it's just fucking stupid. Like I said, I'm not the worst. I'm not using it while I'm driving or anything. And I see so many people posting Instagram stories whilst they're driving. And if you do that, from the most unconscious place within me, you are a fucking idiot. Seriously, it can wait. And I am definitely not at that level, but the phone is just going away. The phone is nowhere near my hand while I'm driving. I can't check it while I'm stopped at the lights. I can't see when I get a notification. I am not interested. It's on Do Not Disturb if it's plugged in, and that is that. Not only for safety reasons and just reasons that I don't even need to explain, just people who use their phone while driving, I just cannot even. But also because I have moved to New South Wales now. They are so much more strict than they are in Victoria. So there's that reason as well. The next out for 2024, breathing through my mouth. And that has been out for a while and should be out in your 2024 as well. Breathing through my mouth. We are done. We're done breathing through our mouths. This is the year for you to breathe through your nose. No more fucking mouth breathing happening around here. I'm gonna be ending up talking for an entire hour if we get into why. Just fucking breathe through your nose, okay? The next out is eating when the sun is down. So eating at nighttime. We are done eating after dark. We are only eating when the sun is up. We are no longer late night snacking. We are prioritizing our sleep, and this is going to help with that. On that note, again, I'm not going to get into the specifics of why we're not doing this anymore and the nervous system data and all of these things, but I would love to know if you listen to this episode and want more information as to why we are doing and not doing things in 2024, aka why you should eat when the sun is up. Send me a message and that will give me another podcast topic idea. So please do. The next out for 2024 is re-recording talking stories 10 times before I upload them. So weird because I never used to do this. I always used to be just so cool with saying whatever I needed to say and posting it straight up. And I was always fine with it. Until recently, I don't know what has happened. I feel like maybe there has been a knock to my confidence. I feel like maybe it has something to do with the who's in my story views thing. I feel like, potentially it's back to the conversation around like I haven't been sure of my opinion and what I wanted to talk about for a little while. So maybe there's that, and being, not really clear on the conversations that I want to have. There could be an abundance of reasons, but it's not happening anymore. I will be saying what I need to say and I will be uploading it. I cannot tell you how many times I have wanted to restart this podcast episode because for the first time in a really long time, I am going off the most limited bullet point notes and not detailed script. And I haven't done this for a really long time. And I cannot tell you how many times I have wanted to restart this episode. But I'm not doing it. I am not re-recording. I am not wasting my time. I am just saying what I need to say authentically, and that is what you're going to get from me. The next out for 2024 is holding on to potential, holding on to the idea of something, flogging a dead horse because of the potential that it could have. We're not doing this anymore. We are choosing to see things at face value always. We are taking things at face value always. And that is not to say, this is not to say don't step into your potential. That's not to say don't see potential for particular things that you're doing. It's to say if someone or something is proving to you that the idea that you have of its potential is not the reality, get rid of it. The next out, worrying about what anyone else is doing and altering my actions based on that. That is to say for business, that is to say for friendships, that is to say for relationships. I am no longer going to look at what anyone else is doing and change what I want to do because of that. That's pretty self-explanatory, pretty straightforward. This one may sound like I'm about to contradict the fuck out of myself, but the next out is not living up to my potential. Not really contradicting, just on the same theme. But not living up to my potential. I am tired of not doing things for whatever reason I come up with, knowing that that thing could be really fucking good for me. I know that I am fucking powerful. I know that I can create really fucking big things. That is not a doubt in my mind. Sometimes my ego gets in the way. Sometimes excuses get in the way, which is my ego. Sometimes I end up making a choice that is not aligned to my potential for whatever reason that may be, and that is not happening anymore. The next out is saying the things that I think I should say instead of the things that I actually want to say. Again, really coming back to this idea of like, I'm ready to share my thoughts and I'm ready to share my opinion. An example of this is, for a long time coming into the conversations around neuroscience and nervous system, I felt like what I should be talking about was factual and scientific and giving you the education and giving you the teachings and all of the things that are black and white. And I realized whilst that's all well and good, I actually am missing out on the things that I actually really want to say. So, for example, yes, I want to talk about your breath. Yes, I want to talk about the way that you breathe and the functions of your respiratory system and your nervous system and all of the things that are scientific. But I also want to say, if you're a fucking business owner and you are focusing on making XYZ amount of money and you're actually not breathing properly, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? So whilst I am going to be saying things that I should say in terms of the science, I'm also going to be saying things that I want to say. My final out for 2024 is not being bothered. Let me expand on this. I very, very often don't do things because I can't be bothered, or I make them difficult, right? And I have realized this is a massive ego protection mechanism. When I say that I can't be bothered, 99% of the time I back out of things and say that I can't be bothered, and it's actually my ego protecting me from something more. Because once I do that thing, I am so glad that I did it after I did it. For example, I had a coffee catch up with a few business owners in my hometown a few weeks ago. And that morning, I couldn't be bothered. It was a Sunday morning. It was, we were going to be talking about business. I had a million excuses in my head. And I knew that this was a pattern for me. I knew that I would always back out of things like this and say that I couldn't be bothered. And I also knew that I have just moved to this town and it would be really beneficial for me to make friends, and it would be really beneficial for me to spend a Sunday morning talking business and all of the things. That catch up was so fucking profound in both my personal and business development, and was another example for me of, I knew, my subconscious knew going to that thing, I would be called to a higher standard. I would be led to creating deeper connections. I've caught up with some of the girls personally after that. I would be pushed into creating those connections and friendships. And I knew that that would happen. My subconscious knew that that would happen. And that is why I couldn't be bothered, because I knew, my ego knew that this was going to be something that called me to a higher standard. Same goes for going to the fucking gym, going to Pilates, going for a walk, catching up with someone. Catching up with someone is a big one for me. Again, going back to that connection conversation, catching up with someone was always a couldn't be bothered thing. I would always back out of it because I knew what that meant for me. So I am no longer not going to be bothered. I am going to do the thing, even though I know that my ego is scared shitless of it. So those are my 2024 ins and outs. Like I said, I will be back with you next week with a bit more of a I'm back, here's where the fuck I've been kind of episode. And I'm looking forward to catching you up on everything. I hope you enjoyed the video content, video format. If you're just listening to audio, I hope you enjoyed my voice, as you always do. And I hope everyone has had the most wonderful start to 2024. And I'm so excited to kick ass with you all this year. Have a great week. Love you. Bye.